How's it going, guys? Cody, we're back again. We're dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this video is about when I was a bouncer. How I got into doing the doors, venues that I worked, what come with a job, all that sort of stuff, right? So I can't actually remember what year I started doing the doors, right? I'll be honest with you. But my first ever door shift was at Niagara. Niagara was a lap dancing bar in Oldham, right? Literally got a call about, I think it was about 7:30, saying, listen, do you want to work tonight? I said, where at? It was my first ever door shift. I was waiting for the spot. He said it's at Niagara in Oldham, right? £10 an hour to stare at titties. I was in my element. I absolutely loved it, man. I swear to God, right? It was unbelievable. Loved it. Great shift. Worked there for quite a while, to be honest with you. Got very, well on with the girls and everything. My first night, I wasn't on the door. I was inside. And when the girls were dancing for the lads and stuff, right, I used to have to just stand there and watch, make sure they don't start trying to feed the horse. And so, yeah, I did that. That was a great shift. The reason that I wanted to do the doors was, obviously, I was fighting, and it was just I wanted to protect people, but I also wanted to hurt people. It was that sort of conflict, right? I had a weird thing with violence. I love violence, whether it was happening to me, I was doing it to somebody else, or just in the vicinity where violence was happening. I love violence. And I worked for Time Security, right? It was an Asian company based in Rochdale. And I was, like I said, I ended up I worked on the doors for them all over. Big Elvin was my boss in Oldham, but Chevy was my boss in Rochdale. And I just had a fantastic time. We worked all over. We even did a gala bingo. We used to go down to a gala bingo, and for some reason, they used to have actual trouble in the bingo hall, which was a bit mad. So we used to go down to Blackburn to gala bingo near Thwaites Brewery. I used to go down there. I didn't really class that as security on the doors. But once we'd finished there, we'd go and we'd work door shifts. And like I said, I worked in Rochdale. In Rochdale, I worked at Yates's Wine Lodge. It's gone now, I believe. Drake's. Which was Drake's was on Drake Street. Used to work there. Had some fucking good scraps there as well. Travellers used to frequent the bar and stuff, as you see from my Traveller video that I did years ago. Get on with Travellers, good people. But yeah, I worked at Liquid Rock as well. That was eventually closed down because I think someone took a strap in and they shot themselves in a leg, or someone got shot in the arse. I can't remember, but I wasn't working when that incident happened. Just make that point. Worked at Dally Bar as well, opposite the town hall. Dally Bar had some fucking good scraps there. You had the Flying Horse Dally Bar. You had, I think it was the Weatherspoons, I can't remember. And then, yeah, it was just a good... Rochdale was banging back in the day, man. This was in Rochdale, Greater Manchester, banging. Used to have a really good nightlife. Regal Moon as well. I worked at Regal Moon, which that is the Weatherspoons. I think it was the Yateses the Yateses, Weatherspoons. I can't remember what the bar was next to, down from Dally Bar anyway, but I had some good scraps there. Regal Moon, Weatherspoons, no music. Everyone used to meet in there on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night and get on it. When I wasn't working, we used to go up to Nemesis in Rochdale, right? Not work. I didn't work at Nemesis, just work. They just went on the piss there with the lads. Then ended up in Oldham. Worked at Club 25, which was down near the B&Q near Mumps Bridge. Where else did I work in Oldham? I think it was not Dog and Partridge, I can't remember. Hare and Hounds at the top of town. Oldham was notorious, right? Oldham had one of the worst fucking reputations in the whole of Manchester, Greater Manchester and surrounding areas for fighting. Yorkshire Street and Union Street on a weekend was just people just throwing down. It was just a violent place, man. You had the old mess house where Tommy Effron and all that used to work on a door. He was a respected figure in Oldham. It was just madness there. Then you had Revivals, which was an 80s bar down near the bottom end of town. I worked at Legends once up in Lees as well. Then I worked at Milan in Lees as well one night. Milan's again, Lees is in a suburb of Oldham. I worked in Bury. I used to work at Soul Viva. I used to work at Rollins on the Rock. I used to work at not Obsessions. I can't remember what it was called. I think it might have been called Obsessions. There's a titty bar in Manchester called Obsessions, but this one was in Bury. and I can't think what it's called off the top of my head. But I used to work at this titty bar. Had some great rooks there. Salford used to travel in, and it went off one night with a load of doormen and a load of Salford kids. And I remember I clocked this Salford kid, right, with a right. Clock just bam, smashed through just hit through the target. I've been boxing and everything. Clocked him. But as he sort of fell sideways as he did. I locked him in a chokehold, right, and literally just hung him in the air. He went out. I dropped him face first off the deck. Don't know who that kid was. Was just a fight. I've been stabbed. And everything. I don't know if you can really see that little wound there. I've got scar there as well. I don't know if you can really see that, but down my wrist, down my finger. I've been shot at on the door as well. Come on to that in a minute. So yeah, Bury was people used to travel in from different areas. Everyone used to meet in the Welly and then travel into the centre of Bury. And you had two tubs, which I think is still there. The White Lion, Wilds, Club NV as well. I used to work at NV. I had some fantastic scraps there. Worked with a fantastic door team. Me, Big Kasim, Tommy. Had a really solid door team there. We had some fantastic fights. Now, like I said, violence is commonplace on the doors. You're dealing with pissheads, and sometimes you've got violent people having a drink, coked up, wanting to be violent. Then you've got people that wouldn't say boo to a goose when they were sober, but when they've had a drink, they think they're Johnny Big Balls and stuff, right? But yeah, a lot of people that run doors, it's a protection racket, simply put. Most door companies are owned by heads, right? Respected figures, gangland figures, hard men, just known faces and hard men, right? Well, that was until I ran my own door as well. Again, I'll come on to that. But the thing is, for some reason, being a bouncer, right, people think it's a glamorous job, right? It's nothing glamorous about it, right? You're standing on the door all year round, babysitting pissheads, right? You're getting paid £10 an hour. The money's not much gone up, right? £9 an hour, £10 an hour. The most I've ever earned was £15 an hour. That was when I was the head doorman at Legends in Ashton-under-Lyne, which I'll come on to again. But yeah, people think it's glamorous. Nothing glamorous about babysitting drunks. You're fighting. You've got to be switched on. You've got to be dialed in. When you've done the door for a few years, you start to pick up on tension, right? Anyone that's done the doors will understand. When you work the doors, whether you're inside a venue, whether you're on the door, right? And say you go on a walk, say you're on the door and then you go on a walk around. Say they don't have doormen inside, right? You've got 2 doormen on the door, 3 doormen on the door. You go in for a walk around. You can actually pick up on the tension. You can pick up on the tension in the air that there's potential there's going to be violence. And it sounds really weird, doesn't it? We're not predicting a future here. Once you've done the job for a few years and you're dialed in, you can just pick up on the animosity and the tension in the air, right? And it goes off. And like I said, when it goes off, you've just got to be prepared to fight. Now, not everyone that does the doors, unfortunately, fights. Some people's, when it kicks off, their asses go. I worked on a door in Manny called Billy Rocks, right? Billy Rocks was a nightclub. It's now Tops all-you-can-eat Chinese restaurant on Portland Street in town in Manchester. And we was having a scrap on a door, and it was a proper scrap. Really, these lads were handy lads, right? And we was having it with them. And I think the numbers were about square, if I remember correctly. And I was rolling around on the floor with some kid, right? Some big fucking steadhead kid, rolling around on the deck, right? And this big guy, you know, the Green Mile, that John Coffey. Excuse me, boss, right? Him, right? Well, a guy the size of him was working with us, right? And he actually stepped over us and went and stood in the toilets. His arse fell out. And then Dino, who was the head doorman, after they all came out, he come over, "Oh, boys, I had to go for a piece." And he tried to shake Dino's hand, and Dino said, "Oi, don't try and shake my hand. Get off my fucking door now. I'd rather not have you here," right? And the guy went home, and that was the end of that. But yeah, I've had some fantastic. The violence was just brilliant. Like, as you can see from my nose, right? I've got a big nose, as you can all tell. It's not a lie. It's not a secret, right? And you can see my nose is bent, right? It's not a secret. Just through fighting. But like I said, I just physically, like, again, a little stab wound egg. I don't even really see that, but it's like just a little blade thing there, and my knuckles as well. Like that knuckle, you can see the nice crown on it. This knuckle is missing the crown because it's like in 2 places. One there, one's over there. I've got a scar there where I uppercutted someone and the tooth, boom, split my finger. And like I said, I'm not doing this video to act like an hard man. No. I'm just covering it because I was looking through Facebook and I had a look at some of my albums, right? Some of the nights on the doors and security people, like security lads I've worked with, and just some of the laughs. It makes me reminisce about the good times, right? Unfortunately now, when the SIA came in, the Security Industry Authority, it riddled out a lot of the criminals, a lot of people that have been done for violence, a lot of the old school, old guard that were absolute animals. And you'd rather have one of them with you than 7 of these newbies that have come in that can't actually fight. Because the sad thing is, anyone can get a door badge. Anyone can get a security license and think, you know what? I like the concept of being a bouncer and standing there in my shirt and my tie and my clip-on tie and thinking I'm Johnny Big Balls and Johnny Concrete, right? And getting loads of birds, right? But they can't fight. That actually puts you at risk. If you're working on a door and if it kicks off, that man next to you's arse is going to fall out. You might as well be on your own because that man hasn't got... Like I said, if you're working on a big door team, right? I've worked at big clubs in Blackpool. Again, we'll come on to this, right? And if you've got one man and you're on the door with him and it kicks off, his arse is going to fall out, right? If you work with him a few times and it's gone off, you know that man that will back you 1,000%. And doing the doors is extremely dangerous as well. People are unpredictable at the best of times. Add into the mix alcohol, add into the mix drugs. And then you add into the fact weapons as well. People carry knuckle dusters, CS gas, fucking blades, right? Firearms. It goes on, man. It really does go on. And it's just for £10 an hour. I think it's ridiculous that bouncers, get £10 an hour to work on the doors. It's not right. Like I said, they put themselves at arm way. They come under, like I said, it's a dangerous job to do. And then at the end of the shift, you've had it where bouncers have been followed on. There was a bouncer that was, if I remember correctly, was shot dead or stabbed to death on a petrol forecourt. Finished work, walked to the petrol station. He'd had a row with a couple of lads. They waited for him, isolated him, and they did him on a petrol forecourt down on Wilmslow Road, if I remember correctly. An Asian lad, God bless him, may rest in peace. But yeah, I worked in Manchester as well. Worked at Billy Rocks. I worked at, where else did I work in town? Billy Rocks, the Waterhouse down near the town hall. I worked at Club Opus in the Printworks. I actually went on to do security at the Printworks as well. Doing the security on the Printworks is like being a bouncer for the full building. Anyone that doesn't know what the Printworks is, it's a massive building. Imagine like a big factory thing on the corner of Withy Grove in Manchester. And it's all been decked out and you've got bars, it's all under one roof. And you've got bars, clubs, there's a gym, you've got eateries, you've got like Beer Keller, you've got like Lloyd's Bar, you had Chiquitos has gone under now, you had Henry J. Beans when I worked there, there's a cinema. It's designed to be like a New York street under one roof, right? And it's bars and clubs. Now these bars and clubs and restaurants and everything and the cinema, they have security, bouncers. So when someone gets kicked out of a venue, say it's, I don't know, it used to be Norwegian Blue, I think it's now Yates's, right? If you get kicked out of there, once that person's kicked out, they can still bounce around the street. So it's down for us to get them out, right? There's actually there's a video on YouTube of loads of fights from the Printworks that a guy called Scott put together. Luckily he didn't lose his job for that, but he put loads of clips of fights together on there. I'll put a link in the description for that, guys, for the Printworks fight videos. But yeah, so once they get kicked out of the venues, it was down for us to get them out of the building. And like I said, if they've been roughed up by the bouncers and then the mates come out, they're, oh, what's going on? Literally, you might not have fucking laid your hands on or twisted this individual up, and now all these boys have come out and you've got to fight. Well, you're trying not to fight, you're trying to get them out of the fucking thingy. CCTV cameras everywhere. CCTV, depending on what your intentions are, can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I ended up on a trial that took 12 months to come around because I was going not guilty on an incident that happened in the Printworks where 3 lads, one of them was gobbing off, and I said, listen mate, you're trying to get into Norwegian Blue. Norwegian Blue was a bar. It closed, right? It finished. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. It was like, it's closed, mate. And tried to get in. I said, look, so there's the entrance. You see me on CCTV, there's the entrance, there's the exit, there's the exit, there's the exit. he didn't want to go. So one of the lads took his arm, John took his arm, Atif took his other arm, and then he starts to buck and stuff. So I come in behind him, and I lock him in a chokehold, right? I'm a bastard for chokeholds, I always have been. So bam, like that, straight in, and I've got him, right? And I'm walking him through, I've got to be careful what I say because I don't want to incriminate myself, but I walk him through this crowd of people. I walk him across the pump yard, out of the exit, which is back onto to like a side street next to the cooperative bank, right? And he loses consciousness for whatever reason, right? I'll leave that to your own mind. Now, he was unconscious, he fell, his head splats off the ground. It was quite a heavy fall, he was quite tall, right? He went to the police. I didn't get arrested. It was because it was after the fact. It was like the day or two later. The police contacted the security of the building. I was interviewed. I went not guilty, and I said on the recording for the police interview, I said, so he's saying that I choked him unconscious inside the print works. I said, well, on the CCTV that you've just shown me, you can clearly see him take step for step out of the building. Then he loses consciousness. I said, how can that be attributed to be made by me? If you are unconscious, you are a dead weight. Your legs you're dragging on the floor. I said, so he's lying, right? So I ran trial at Manchester Crown Court, Crown Square, and on the second, his mate fucked up because his mate said, I was walking in front of the incident and I turned around and I saw my mate's glazed look in his eye, right? So during the trial, obviously they'd all put statements, and these two other guys, they was all in drink, they was all pissed up. They've all said, yeah, I've choked him unconscious, blah, blah, blah. Right. So they said they was in front, they looked back, they seen him unconscious, and his body was being dragged through the print works. The CCTV proved otherwise. The CCTV proved he was probably about 5 foot behind me, right, walking behind me, as was his mate, out of the venue. They couldn't see his face. And obviously his feet was walking out of the thing. So on the second day of trial, fast forward, we applied for an acquittal with no case to answer. In other words, the evidence, it's a joke. The jury was sworn in, and I was, because at the time I was on steads and everything, so I'm sat there, I'm quite a big lump, and you've got these guys, and he's got a legitimate job and all this stuff, right, and I'm there like fucking, like I look like the thug, right, shaved head and all that sort of stuff, and I thought, fucking hell, they're going to find me guilty just by looking at me. Anyway, we applied with the acquittal for no case to answer. It was accepted, and that was it. The judge told the jury to find me not guilty, or the vice versa. Yeah, and anyway, I was found not guilty, and I walked out of court, and that was the end of it. So that was that case done, right? But like I said, I'd lost my job and everything because my security company, the Printworks security management, didn't just back you. Right? And I was found not guilty. I didn't know about loss of earnings and all that stuff. Anyway, so like I said, worked all over Manchester, worked at these places. Also, when you're working on the doors, you start to get like people in. If it's a good club, you'll get like actors, actresses, singers and stuff like that. So I've done security for a few people on doing PAs or personal appearances. Bumped into other celebrities as well. Like I remember doing the boxing in Wigan at I think it was Robin Reid Park or Reid Park or something. And Will Mellor was there. We did security for Will. He was having some hassle with some dickheads in the toilets, and we went in and sorted it out. Jobs are good in. So yeah, got a picture with Will Mellor. His dad took the picture, and his dad sadly recently died from that coronavirus. God bless him. Done security for wrestlers as well in Manchester. I was in the print works. Grown up watching wrestling from a young age and everything like that. I don't watch it anymore, but watching the wrestling. And I came out of the security office. Security office is upstairs. You come down the lift, walked out of the door, right? And the first person I laid eyes on was the 7 foot fucking Big Show. And what had happened is they was in town for 3 days and 2 nights, or 4 days and 3 days and 4 nights, or 3 days and 2 nights. I can't remember. Anyway, so they was getting harassed by people. So the management just said, listen, walk around with the wrestlers, make sure, not that they needed security, obviously, look at the size of them. One of the guys was the 7'3" Great Khali. The other one was the 7 foot Big Show. You had Rob Van Dam. You had Paul Heyman, who's the manager of Brock Lesnar, who's still in there now. He's getting on. Matt Striker, Bobby Lashley, who fought in Bellator as well, UFC. He became a MMA star, ended up fighting in Bellator. This guy is just muscle on muscle on muscle. And yeah, we ended up walking around with him. When we finished our shift, we went for food with him. I'd worked the day shift, and I was walking around with them and all that, and they said, like, what are you doing? I said, I'll get off in a minute. And they said, well, come for food. And this was like the Big Show, the Boogeyman, all these people. Right? I've got pictures. I'll put the pictures at the start. So yeah, ended up doing that. So got all those pictures and everything with the wrestlers, which was a wicked thing. And they came down again. And then when I finished work, I ended up in Hard Rock Cafe, right, Forum. Ended up having food with the wrestlers. And then there was people taking pictures through the thing. So we moved upstairs. We had food. We left there. And then I took them through the back entrance, through the delivery bay. And I actually took them into... the name's gonna... There was a club that went downstairs. It's now Beer Keller, but it was called... I can't think. But we took them in there. I got them in free of charge in there. So you've got this was on the night off before they flew back. So they ended up in this fucking club downstairs, dancing and shit with them. That was, honest to God. Ashley Mazzaro as well. Ashley Mazzaro was a WWE diva. She sadly and tragically took her own life last year or the year before. But yeah, just a fantastic dude, man. Like I said, it was, the nightclub thing was after they'd been at the arena, the MEN, they performed, they came over, went for food with them, ended up taking them into the club downstairs, and then we literally dancing away and everything. And I'll post the pictures at the start of the video, guys, 1,000,000%. So yeah, you meet some of the greatest people working the doors, and you also meet some cowards, you meet gangsters, you meet gang members. It's a really mad life when you're on the doors. It's many bouncers have written books about working the doors, what comes with the job. Like there's a guy called Rick Horsley, right? Rick Horsley, very known, very respected hard man from the Northeast, worked as a bouncer, ended up on one of the podcasts, I think it was James English, absolute animal of a legendary stuff, right? Here in Manchester, you've got people like Billy Isaacs, right? I met Billy when I was working the door at Sticks nightclub in Denton. Billy Isaac was a former pro boxer, friends with Ricky Hatton, ran a security company. He was a hard man. He was a fear dead, right? Dangerous individual, as tall as he was wide. And Billy used to chat to me when I worked at Sticks, and it was owned by Roy Chowdhury and Helena. Just good times, man, good memories. But yeah, just the best of times, really, really was. Anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to do a part 2 because there's a lot more to talk about, right? I need to try and mix in the violence and where I worked and the stories and all that sort of stuff. 23 minutes in now. The reason I'm cutting it off is so I can put the pictures at the start. I'll do a part 1, I'll do a part 2, and even might be a part 3. Stay with me, guys. Cody out.